Sand Shield. Let's start with one of the most iconic defensive abilities in all of Naruto, the Sand Shield. Now, imagine having a bodyguard who never blinks, never sleeps, and doesn't even need a salary. That's Gaara's sand. This thing moves on its own, reacts to threats before Gaara even realizes he's in danger. Back in the Chunin Exams, when Rock Lee tried to sneak a punch, boom, the sand moved faster than our guy Lee could blink. And that's saying something. The mechanism? Originally, it was Shukaku's chakra doing the heavy lifting. The one tail was basically the power bank behind the curtain. But even after Gaara lost the tailed beast, he mastered control over the sand so well that it kept doing its job like a loyal pet with chakra-powered instincts. You can think of it like a living organism. This shield doesn't just block, it reacts. Needles? Blocked. Swords? Swallowed. Sasori's poison darts? Completely denied. And the way it curls around Gaara like a snake hugging its prey? Pure intimidation. But, yes, there's a but. This technique isn't invincible. If an enemy's fast enough to beat the sand's reaction time, like Rock Lee with his Lotus moves, then yeah, Gaara's gonna take a hit. Also, spam attacks long enough, and that chakra drain starts piling up. Even Gaara's sand gets tired of working overtime. Hold up, we want to say thank you for supporting AnimeZONE and helping us surpass 17,000 subscribers. Our next goal is to reach 25,000, and every like, share, and subscribe from you is a huge motivation for us to keep creating in-depth, detailed videos like this one. If you don't forget to comment on what we should do next in our video, we read every single comment. Now, sand armor. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, you do get past the sand shield. Maybe you're a taijutsu prodigy with 8 packs and speed that breaks physics. Congrats! Now you've got to deal with sand armor. Yes, Gaara basically wears sand as a second skin. This isn't some flaky layer of dust. It's dense compressed sand that hugs his body tighter than Guy Sensei's spandex. Gaara actually controls this one manually, meaning he keeps it running by feeding it chakra. The upside, it soaks up hits that get too close for comfort. The downside, it's a chakra glutton. Seriously, this thing eats chakra like choji at a buffet. We saw it in action during Gaara's fight with Rock Lee. Even after Lee broke through the sand shield with raw power, that inner layer of sand still stopped him from doing critical damage. Gaara walked away with some bruises, sure, but compared to what Lee dished out? That's impressive. But like all good armor, it has its breaking point. Hit it hard enough, fast enough, and over again, it'll crack. Shield of Shukaku. If Sand Shield is the bodyguard, and Sand Armor is the secret Kevlar suit, then Shield of Shukaku is the armored tank Gaara deploys when stuff really hits the fan. This is Gaara's ultimate defense. He compresses massive amounts of sand using chakra, shaping it into the terrifying image of Shukaku. It's so dense it can block techniques that would wipe out squads. Remember Kimimara's bone attacks? Blocked. When the sand turns into Shukaku's face, nothing's getting through without a serious explosion. Even better, it's not just for Gaara's own defense. He's used this shield to protect entire areas, including his own village during massive attacks. That's when you know the guy's gone from edgy loner to actual leader, shielding not just himself, but everyone behind him. The Shield of Shukaku takes prep time. It needs a lot of sand and a big dose of chakra. If Gaara's caught off guard or facing someone who can spam explosive jutsu, say Deidara and his lovely C4, then this shield might not hold up in time. Wind style, sky sand defensive wall. Gaara's already known as a walking fortress, but one day he met an opponent who didn't play by the rules of gravity. That was Deidara, not just a bomber, but an aerial artist. Dude flew around on a giant clay bird like it was a Sunday joyride, dropping explosives like Halloween candy from the sky. So what did Gaara do? He hit us with a new move, Sky Sand Defensive Wall. Using wind-style chakra, he lifted sand high into the sky, creating a floating shield, like a wall just chilling in midair. Sounds like stage magic, right? But nope, it worked. That wall actually blocked Deidara's bombs and protected the entire sand village below. Talk about a flexible air defense system. Of course, nothing comes free. This technique drains a ton of chakra, and it needs both wind and sand nearby. So, yeah, good luck trying this in a frozen tundra. Sand Coffin. Now we're entering Gaara's Hall of Fame, the move that made everyone hold their breath, Sand Coffin. This one's terrifying in its simplicity. Gaara controls sand to surround the enemy like an invisible trap. Once the sand touches you, you're done. Game over. First, he locks your movement. You can't run, can't blink, can't even say, wait, before the sand tightens around you. Bones snap, air cuts off. During the Chunin exam, Gaara used this to crush Dosu like he was closing a Ziploc bag. Brutal. What makes Sand Coffin so scary is how fast it is. There's no flashy buildup, no dramatic hand signs. It's just snap, and you're caught. Most enemies don't even realize what happened. Desert Funeral. If Sand Coffin is a personal death sentence, then Desert Funeral is a mass extinction event. This is the leveled up version of the previous move. No more small-scale precision. Gaara brings in a full-blown sandstorm. He doesn't just trap you, he buries everything. In his fight against Kimimaro, Gaara summoned a massive amount of sand and crushed the entire area. No hiding, no time to react. Just walls of sand swallowing the battlefield like nature itself, saying, "You shouldn't be here." It's straight up cinema. You see the sand rise like a tidal wave, then crash down in one overwhelming sweep. It needs a lot of sand and a bit of time to prep. If the enemy's too fast, or if they're packing planet-busting moves like the Ten Tails, Gaara might not finish in time. But give him the right terrain and a few seconds, this becomes a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Grand Sand Mausoleum Seal. Grand Sand Mausoleum Seal is a high-level sealing technique that's just pure intimidation. It's not flashy, it's not loud, it's final. First, the sand wraps around the target from every angle, no escape. Then it compresses, tighter and tighter, until the target is trapped in what looks like a massive sand tomb. No light gets in, no sound comes out. You're sealed inside, forever. And yes, Gaara actually used this on Madara Uchiha. Let me repeat that. The guy who ate entire armies for breakfast got sealed by sand. Gaara didn't give a speech, he just did it. Of course, sealing someone like that takes a huge amount of chakra, plus a ton of sand. And if you're up against something absurd like the Ten Tails, they might just brute force their way out. Sand prison. So after watching Gaara crush enemies with giant sand coffins and earthquakes, you'd think he's always going for the kill. But no. Sometimes, the goal isn't to finish the fight, it's to pause it. That's where Sand Prison comes in. Unlike his more violent moves, this one is all about control. Gaara surrounds the enemy with sand, then tightens it just enough to lock them in place, not crush them. Think of it like a sand straitjacket. You're stuck, you can breathe, but you're not moving anywhere. He used this during the fight with Sasori, a puppet master with fast reflexes. And honestly, it worked like a charm. Sasori's body moved fast, but Gaara's sand moved smarter. This jutsu turns the battlefield into Gaara's chessboard. He can isolate targets, hold them still, or interrupt their combos. It's basically the ninja version of pressing the pause button. But here's the thing, it doesn't hurt. So if your enemy has insane strength or a way to burst out like an escape jutsu or just raw power, then yeah, they're breaking free. Sand Bullet. Gaara doesn't just use sand to block or bury. Sometimes he goes full sharpshooter. Sand Bullet. Here, Gaara compresses sand into sharp objects, like bullets, shuriken, or spears, and fires them at insane speed. It's not some random shotgun blast. These things are precise. During his fight with Daidara, Gaara launched sand shuriken so fast and sharp, you could feel the tension through the screen. Watching razor-sharp sand spin mid-air, cutting through wind and heading straight for the enemy. It's like nature decided to throw kunai. This technique is amazing against fast-moving targets. You don't need to catch them, just predict where they'll be and fire. The damage depends on how much sand Gaara uses and how much chakra he puts in. And if the enemy's someone like Rock Lee or Minato, speed demons, then good luck landing a clean hit. Sand Shower. Now imagine this. You're fighting Gaara, thinking you found a blind spot. Suddenly, the sky darkens, but not from clouds. It's sand, falling, like rain. That's Sand Shower. This technique is chaotic in the best way. Gaara throws sand high into the air, then lets it fall like a storm. Not one direction, all directions. It's like being stuck in the middle of a sand hurricane. The idea isn't just damage, it's pressure. The constant falling sand distracts, confuses, and limits visibility. It's a psychological move. While you're wiping sand out of your eyes, Gaara's already lining up the real attack. And if that wasn't enough, there's a stronger version called Sand Shower Barrage. More sand, more chaos, more, why did I leave the house today? The weakness is, it doesn't hit that hard. It's more of a setup move, not a finisher. If the enemy can fly, teleport, or just move fast, they'll dodge it. Sand Wave. Okay, now we're back to Gaara being terrifying. Sand Wave starts as a small tide of sand. Looks manageable. But wait, there's a second form, Sand Tsunami. And that's when everything changes. Gaara summons a massive wave of sand that washes over the battlefield. It's not a jutsu anymore. It's a natural disaster. Think of it as the earth itself deciding it's done with your existence. He used this during the fight with Madara, and even someone at that level had to deal with it seriously. The sheer scale is insane. Entire landscapes get swallowed. There's nowhere to hide. And if the wave doesn't crush you, it'll bury you. Visually, it's one of the most jaw-dropping attacks in the series. A towering wall of sand that crashes down like it's ending an era. It's not a move. It's a cinematic finale. But yeah, like all giant moves, it has a cost. You need a ton of chakra and a lot of sand. And if your enemy can fly or shoot energy blasts, they can cancel it out before it lands. Even so, the moment Sand Tsunami appears, the battlefield isn't a battlefield anymore. It's Gaara's sandbox, and you're just a tiny toy trying not to get buried. Shukakus Hand. Let's talk about Shukakus Hand, one of Gaara's most intimidating moves. Picture this. You're fighting someone who barely moves, then out of nowhere, a giant sand hand shaped like a demon comes flying at you. Gaara used this in his fight against Deidara, who kept flying around like a firework artist with ADHD. So instead of playing catch-up, Gaara summoned a massive hand in Shukaku's shape and just grabbed at the sky. And let me tell you, when a hand that size reaches for you, you don't think, you panic. The cool thing here is how flexible this jutsu is. Gaara can use it to grab, slam, crush, or just flex that terrifying chakra control. It works at mid-range, long-range, even close combat if the enemy's dumb enough to get near. But yeah, nothing is perfect. If your opponent has brute strength or a move that can cut through sand, looking at you, Sasuke, with Chidori spam, then this big scary hand turns into just a large pile of dirt. Shukakus Pike. Okay, if Shukaku's Hand is the grabby type, then Shukakus Pike is straight up violent. No hugging here, just pure piercing damage. He compresses sand into a shimmering solid spear powered by Shukaku's chakra. And when he throws it, that thing doesn't stop until it finds something to destroy. You'll usually see this move when Gaara gets serious. Big stakes, big enemies, big spear. The strength of this attack is crazy. It's sharp enough to pierce through tough defenses and dense armor, and unlike other sand techniques that kinda smother or trap, this one just ends the problem. Fast. It takes time to make the spear. The sand has to condense, the shape has to hold, and by the time it's ready, someone like Naruto might have already finished the fight with a speech and a Rasengan. Sand Clone. Now this one's sneaky. You've heard of shadow clones? Well, this is the Desert Edition. Sand Clone lets Gaara create copies of himself using sand. They move like him. They fight like him. They even have that calm, dead-eye stare that says, "I buried someone before breakfast." During his fight with Sasori, Gaara used this trick to outmaneuver an opponent who couldn't afford to waste time guessing. It works because it messes with your mind. You think you're targeting Gaara, but nope, you're punching a pile of sand. And the best part? Gaara doesn't even have to be close. He can stay far away, watching while his clone plays bait. Once the enemy figures out the clone is fake, it breaks easily. And if they've got AoE attacks, they can just wipe the floor and take the clone down in one go. Third Eye. So what does Gaara do when he's surrounded or trapped? Or when he wants full vision without putting himself in danger? Simple. He spawns an eyeball made of sand. No, seriously, that's Third Eye. A floating, creepy sand eye that Gaara can use to see everything from afar. It links directly to his brain, like a biological drone. Pretty sure this is what happens when introverts get chakra powers. He used this in his fight with Deidara while trapped in a dome. Total blackout, but Gaara, still watching everything. It's basically surveillance jutsu for control freaks. Tactically, it's gold. You can plan moves without moving. You can monitor enemy positions. You can even fake being blind while seeing more than anyone in the room. But yeah, no attack power. It's just an eye. If the enemy spots it and destroys it, then congrats. You just lost your ninja livestream. Sand sensing. We've got sand sensing, the ability that makes hiding from Gaara almost impossible. Here's how it works. The sand around him becomes a giant motion detector. Any chakra movement, vibration, or suspicious twitch nearby, the sand picks it up and tells Gaara, like a loyal little spy. Basically, while other ninja are squinting through smoke bombs, Gaara already knows where everyone is. The great thing is, it doesn't need direct line of sight. If you're underground or invisible, too bad, the sand feels you. But like with everything, there are limits. No sand around? This skill is useless. If you're in a concrete building or ice-covered tundra, the radar's off. And if your enemy can move without making a sound or suppress their chakra, then they might sneak by. Sand mesh, so you're facing a ninja who moves fast. Too fast. Like blink and they're behind you, kinda fast. What does Gaara do? He throws a net, made of sand. This is sand mesh, or as I like to call it, the desert's version of handcuffs. Gaara manipulates his sand into ropes or web-like strands, then locks his opponent in place. It's the perfect move against hyper ninjas like Sasori or anyone who can't sit still. This move's all about control. You're not trying to knock someone out, just hold them there long enough to land the real hit. This rope isn't indestructible. If the enemy has brute strength or any kind of blade-based technique, they can slice through it faster than you can say, Suna no Jutsu. Desert suspension. So what happens when your opponent decides to take the fight to the sky, like Deidara did? Simple. Gaara goes, fine, I'll fly too. Desert suspension is basically Gaara turning sand into a floating platform, like a ninja hoverboard made of anxiety. By using his chakra to suspend sand in mid-air, he can float, chase, and fight while airborne. Suddenly, the battlefield isn't 2D anymore, it's vertical. This was key when fighting Deidara, who tried to stay out of Gaara's range. Too bad. Gaara just rode a sand disc like it was a magic carpet, except it didn't sing or dance. It just helped him launch long-range death. Now, obviously, it's not perfect. Keeping a full platform floating takes a ton of chakra. And if the enemy's a long-range sniper or explosive expert, you're just a floating target. But for mobility, game changer. It turns Gaara from a ground-based defender into an aerial threat. Wind style, Sandstorm Devastation. Okay, this one is where Gaara goes full avatar mode. Wind style, Sandstorm Devastation combines wind release chakra with sand, turning the whole battlefield into a chaotic storm. Not just a breeze, we're talking mini apocalypse. He basically kicks up a desert-level sandstorm with wind-powered sand bombs tearing through the area. Think Mad Max, but with ninjas. This technique is all about area denial. No hiding, no dodging. The storm hits from all sides, forcing the enemy into panic mode. Gaara used this kind of move during his fight with Rasa, yeah, his own dad, and completely flipped the match. Shukaku Transformation. Now we enter kaiju territory. Gaara, during his Jinchuriki days, could partially or fully transform into Shukaku, the one-tailed beast. And let me tell you, when that starts happening, it's no longer a ninja fight, it's a monster movie. He first used this against Naruto, slowly giving up control to the beast. His arms grow, his body shifts, his voice changes. It's horrifying. By the time the full Shukaku emerges, we've got a giant sand demon staring down a toad the size of a building. This form boosts everything: defense, offense, intimidation. You get more sand, more chakra, more pain. The sheer power is wild. But here's the problem. Gaara starts to lose himself. Shukaku isn't exactly the chill roommate type. If he takes over, Gaara goes from calm tactician to rampaging sand creature. Also, after Shukaku was extracted later on, Gaara lost the ability to transform like this. So this move, it's a relic of the past, like a final form he had to leave behind. Play Pawsum Jutsu. Let's end with a sleeper, both figuratively and literally. Play Pawsum Jutsu is Gaara's way of saying, if you can't beat them, pretend to be unconscious. No joke. This technique lets Gaara fake being KO'd by stopping his movement and using sand to hide his chakra. The enemy gets careless. They walk closer. They monologue. Then, boom, surprise counterattack. It's such a sneaky move that it even worked on Naruto once. And when it's combined with Shukaku still inside him, Gaara uses it to let the beast take over while his body rests. The weakness? It's not offensive. It doesn't do damage on its own. You're gambling on the enemy taking the bait. If they don't, you're just lying there like an overdramatic theater student. It's low effort, high reward, and totally fits Gaara's style. Calm on the outside, chaos underneath.